Was that?
We got to freeze. Everybody no. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Fortress of Comic News. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, alongside the lovely
Mike.
and talented Mike.
Yeah, I'm not talented at anything. So I believe it's episode 14. We made it this far. So we had one of those epic stories about going to Hartford Comic Con. I think it was a couple episodes ago. When we were at Hartford Comic Con, I was kind of handing out our lame ass business cards to people, saying like, "Hey, would you want to talk about comics? Or you're pretty talented. Do you want to talk to us?" But I think the one thing that caught my eye the most was I wasn't even at. So Travis Holyfield had a booth at Hartford Comic Con. I didn't even know about it. All Chris said to me was he shouted my name, and I looked over, and he said, "Get over here, you're going to enjoy something."
Well, he comes over. I walk over to him because his backboard really caught my eye. And I started talking to him, and he looks at me and goes, and I said, "Well, what's this book?" And he looks at me and goes, "Well, it's 60s Batman meets the Tick." And I said, wait a second. Wrecker, get over here.
That's honestly all I needed to hear. So today on our show we have the very talented Travis Holyfield. I've read through his 2 issues that we've gotten. We're going to talk about these 2 wonderful books called Dober-Man, the Canine Crusader. I love everything about it. But welcome, Travis, to the Fortress of Comic News. You are officially our first guest ever. So
wow, thanks for having them. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we're super glad to have you.
Yeah, set the bar low on your first guest.
Sorry, we got Mark Wade for the next week.
Yeah, Mark. It goes you, then Mark Wade, and then maybe Jeff Johns or Alex Ross. I don't know, one of those guys. They haven't called me back.
I'm the placeholder guy. I'm just basically Mark Wade and Jeff Johns. Here, hold this for us for a second, kid. That's great.
Yeah, we're just trying to get all the kinks out,
So, Travis, you gotta tell us. Okay, so obviously you're a '60s Batman and a Tick fan.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you want to give us the intro of Dober-Man really quick. Give us your summary of this character.
So it's pretty much exactly what you said. It's the '60s Batman show meets the Tick. It's funny superheroes. It happens to be all ages friendly, which is kind of a consequence more than a design, but it is in fact all ages friendly, and we've got evidence to prove that. So sight gags, explosions, pie fights, everything that makes life worth living, basically.
Pie fights. I don't know. Have we experienced pie fights in an issue yet? I don't think that was. I don't know.
There are candy apple. We do have
candy apple. That was definitely.
There was a good candy apple fight.
Because they're at the carnival, right? Is that how that happened?
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh my god.
And that was the scene when I first saw the art. I saw the panel with the guy with candy apples in his eyes before I saw the candy apples being thrown. So I was just like, "Whoa, super violent! That guy got his eyes stabbed out. What's going on here with her?" But then contextual.
Oh yeah. It's you need that exposition. It's everything. So what do you do on the book? You're writing it? Are you do any sketches?
I am the.
Okay.
Nope, I am the writer. The everything else besides writing is done by a gentleman named Edward Watley. Really talented guy. Besides my book, he's done a handful of things for Greyhaven Comics Gathering Anthology, and I know the last time I talked to him, he was working on a couple of British anthology stories. So
awesome.
Yeah, and
is he?
He's a. No, he's a Southern gentleman. He's a Southern gentleman. He and I have worked together now for a few years, and literally the only time that we've been in the same place at the same time was at Heroes Con, I want to say 2014, because he's, I think he's South Carolina, I believe. Oh, okay. So it's pretty easy for him to drive up for that, so I flew down. That was our one and only mutual con appearance, but Edward is a really great guy. He is a machine. My part of the job is real easy. I just write a script and try to come up with as many dog puns as possible. Everything. All the art, the line art, the colors, the letters, everything, character design. He is,
and the art is absolutely fantastic. And I mean, that's one of the things that first catches you when you look at it. But I mean, the writing, it's. I just got done watching the what is it, the Return of the Cape Crusader, the new '60s Batman cartoon that was released like last week. But there's so many alliterations that I love those. I can't get like the K9 Crusader, and then you just keep going longer and longer with it. It gets fantastic. Those are some of my favorite parts.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky again because, like you said, the art is really what draws people in. So that's.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to have that particular entryway where somebody will give my writing or my book a look because I'm working with something talented.
Yeah, and that's that's what first catches you is the art. How is that? What?
How's the cartoon?
Oh, it was fantastic.
How's that?
Oh my god, it was everything I wanted. It was probably one of the best DC cartoons to come out in a while. And like you said, your book is, it's for all ages, and that was definitely for all ages. I mean, kids could watch it too, but there was it was kind of weird when you have a '60s Batman cartoon and there's some like sexual innuendos in there where he's like hitting on Catwoman, and it's weird. Like, it's kind of weird.
That's kind of what happened with us in a lot of ways. When we were doing the book, doing this sophisticated superhero satire. This is for adults and stuff like that. But the first actual fan of the book, it was my friend's at the time, 3-year-old daughter.
Oh, wow.
I get a video on my phone, and it's from my friend Brenda, and it's a picture of her daughter going through the cover and identifying all of the characters.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay. Wait a minute, we actually have something all ages here. But it's the same kind of thing. We have one of our main villains in the first couple issues is named the Cougar. It's our Catwoman takeoff. And the joke there is, okay, everyone's going to look at her and know she's a Catwoman takeoff, but the other thing about her is that she spends all of her time hitting on the sidekick character.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of joke that hopefully a 5-year-old's not going to get. But
no.
But
I picked up on that. Oh, it was so good. It was like she's just going after the sidekick Robin, and it's almost pretty creepy. Sometimes all the villains gathered talking about what they want to do, they want to get rid of Dober-Man. And she's like, well, I just care about what's his name? I forgot his name.
Beagle. So it's Dober-Man and the Beagle.
The Beagle, yeah. It's she's like, I just want to get my hands on the Beagle. Oh, it's so good.
So you show this off to your niece. At what point are you thinking, animated show and toys, and I'm just going to go Ninja Turtles on this?
The thought has honestly never occurred to me outside of the context of podcast interviews when somebody asks me that question. Because as much fun as I have with that book, as much fun as I have writing it, as great as Edward's art is, it is also literally 60s Batman meets the Tick. So just the tiniest fraction of that in terms of original intellectual property. So the idea of it being anything more than the comic never really occurred to me, but I'm very happy with it being a comic. That Heroes Con convention that we did in 2014, and I wish Edward had been there at the time. He wasn't. A couple other friends of ours were, though, around at the the tables on either side of us. But I had a come up to me, and he's probably about 10 years old, no adults anywhere in sight. So I have no idea where this child materialized, nobody seems to be responsible for him. And he just comes up and he says, hey, can I look at your comic? And I said, sure, go for it. Yeah. So he does, he looks through it, and he spends a couple minutes flipping through it, and then he puts it down and he looks at me with just this 1,000-yard stare. And he's just like, this comic's going to be really successful, and you're going to make a lot of money, because it's shiny like a new comic, but it doesn't have any swears, and kids can read it. And then he just walked off.
Wow.
And it was very much that kind of Dave Attell, oh, what's your name? Kid Showbiz kind of business. But
it's so good.
Right, I hope we do make some money off it.
I mean, the 10-year-old must have been right. It's gonna happen. All right, so what got you into comics? I mean, are you you obviously you like comics? do you consistently, like, do you have a pull list? What's on your pull list right now? I mean, are you reading stuff right now, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've been collecting pretty much since I was 3 years old. So
Awesome.
yeah, so rounding on, honestly, almost 40 years of collecting pretty much straight through. And yeah, still have a pull list. I pull a lot of Marvel stuff. Pull a lot of stuff by writer too. Anything that Bendis does, anything Rick Remender does, anything Sonic puts out. Grab those immediately. Saga, obviously, anything Brian K. Vaughan's doing, get on that. So yeah, no, I've been doing it pretty much my entire life.
Awesome.
I cannot remember a time pre-comics.
Mike, I like this guy's taste. He didn't mention DC once.
Chris is the Marvel fan, obviously, but I mean, Batman always holds a special place in my heart.
No, we like to pick on each other.
Yeah, it's good to have that.
I love DC stuff. I'm a huge DC fan. I think my problem right now is that I don't a whole bunch of the DC Rebirth books, and there were a couple of them, like Rucka's Wonder Woman, I thought was amazing.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, but I was, and Batman is always consistently good. I don't know if Scott Snyder is still on it or not, but friends of mine that are like, I know you don't pull as much DC as Marvel, but you got to get in on Snyder's Batman. But things like I was trying to get back with Superman, because I love Superman. I'm a huge Superman.
Yeah.
I was so. I'm like, it's been a little. I've been reading Superman. I don't know what's going on at this moment. But yeah, no, I pretty much love comics full stop. I'm a huge superhero fan, so Marvel and DC. But I mean, just about anything Image Comics puts out is worth checking out.
Definitely.
Great stuff. IDW, Boom Studios, they're all doing great stuff. I think there's probably never been a better time. US comics fan. Like manga has always done where they've got something for everybody. If you're a sports fan, they got sports comics and things like that. In terms, I can't remember a better time to be a comics fan, because there's quite lit for everybody, which I think is awesome.
Oh, it's awesome. For sure.
I completely agree. I mean, everything. I look at my list every week, and it's just like I've got books that I just see in previews that are like, oh, this looks cool, and it's like, wait, who's? I don't even know who that publisher is, but this comic's really good. So,
okay, you guys are freezing up on me a tiny little bit, so if I am slow in response, it's probably my laptop.
No, that's fine. But so let's go back to this book. Is your first published mix, or what else have you done? Are you planning to do more of Doberman? What's going on with this? Or when can we get more?
Oh man, so they published full length. We've got 2 issues out of it now. Prior to this, so kind of the origin story of Doberman in general. I had been writing shorts for the Greyhaven Comics Gathering anthologies that they do, which are really, really cool books. It's almost all untried, untested talent, but then you'll get a pro, like Gail Simone has a story in one of the issues that I wrote for.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was really cool of her. She, Greyhaven Publishing and all the comics started out originally with a bunch of people talking on the Brian Michael Bendis message board. And the publishing company kind of came out from there. So Gail was on the board, and she knew some of these people. Really, really awesome about just saying, yeah, I'll absolutely go ahead and do a story for this. So they do themed anthologies, and one of the themes was Silver Age.
Oh, man.
So I pitched it real hard, and it was essentially what would become Doberman. And the idea was simply, as a huge fan of the 60s Batman show, I was always fascinated, even as a kid, not just by the villain of the week, but by the fact that villain would always have 3 or 4 guys hanging out with him.
Yeah.
In my little kid head, it made perfect sense. But as an adult, I'm watching these and laughing. But I'm going, who are these guys? Where does the and find who's willing to be by Batman? Where do these guys come from? So I decided it has to be a temp agency. Like, I've had crappy jobs. I've worked for temp agencies. This is undoubtedly a crappy job that a temp agency would. So that was the original 5-page story. And then the art director for Greyhaven at the time, a cat named John Coker's, a good dude, a friend of mine, he actually hooked me up with Edward, who had submitted reviews. So that's really where the partnership started. It was completely, and they liked the 5-page that we did enough that they said, hey, do you guys want to do a full length? And we did, and people seemed to like that enough that they said, you want to do another one of these? And we did. In terms of where it's going to go, I've definitely got a third one in me.
That's great.
I know exactly what I would do for the third one. Each one is kind of a tribute to something a little bit different. So with the third one, what I would do is something along the lines of the Batman family comics. The nice big ace that would have shorts for everybody in the cast. And I desperately want to do a Dober-Man version of Batmite. I desperately want to do that.
Dude, that'd be so cool.
Please do.
So I mean, I've got the idea. I know what it would be. I've got it in the barrel. Right now, not where his head's at. And the thing about that is, for me, it takes me a few days to kind of hammer out the script and get all the rough pieces sanded off and get it out to him. But then he's a guy that has a full-time job, he's got a family, and he's doing this on the side. And like I said, he's literally doing everything. So for him, it's pretty much a full year commitment to do one of these. And and after doing 2 of these in a row, he's a little burnt out on funny superheroes. So, right, now he's out doing some anthologies and stuff like that. I have not given up on coming back to it, so I won't say no. But right now what I'm working on is a little bit more serious. It's a supervillain heist comic. The pitch the elevator pitch I'm throwing out is that it's Jessica Jones meets Reservoir Dogs. Female lead, supervillains, robbing banks and stuff like that. The guy on art is a gentleman from the Philippines named Von Randall, who is so good. He's the stuff he's been turning in so far. He turned in some roughs, the layout that we're doing, and they were so good. I was almost just like, you know what? Don't even bother doing the rest. We're just gonna let it from here. So I'm really excited about that. There'll be a Kickstarter for that starting up in January. That one. That's a 5-issue series that hopefully we can get funded. So.
Okay, so we got to pay attention to that. We'll be sharing that link on our page as well. But so January, what is the name of the comic?
The name of the comic is Street Clothes. The main character is a former supervillain, but she kind of had the realization of superheroes kind of a lot. So she is out of the, but she's still a crook. She's still got superpowers. She just doesn't wear a costume anymore. Strictly street clothes for her, and that's where the title comes from.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping the Kickstarter really lands and that we can get it going, because it's a project I've been nursing for a while and got super serious about this year, and I would love for it to see the light of day, but it's a big world with a lot of comics and a lot of Kickstarters, so who knows what happens.
There's definitely, you go on Kickstarter, there's probably at least a couple hundred comics on there right now. I'm going to talk about the issues of Doberman really quick. So I noticed that you had like those, so for issue 1 and issue 2 you had like those tropes of like, they always have the henchmen. It's like, where did the henchmen come from? Oh, it's the temp agency, and the henchmen start wondering, like, if you have all these elaborate plans like in 60s Batman where the like Carnival King has a giant carousel, it's like, well, why would he spend all that money on a giant carousel to attack Doberman? It's like, well, why don't we just steal the money from the villains that were that have all this money to spend? It's genius. But I think my favorite part is where you see them all like gathered, kind of like the Legion of Superhero style, and in the second issue where they're all gathered around, and you start naming them off, and it's like they're all just parodies. But,
yeah. And the thing we tried when we did the original 5-page, the original 5 pages we did is actually in the back of the second issue. We put that in there as a little bonus. When we did that one, we were going really dedicated to the idea of like, at that point I had no idea it was going to have the legs to do one book, let alone two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can write these. I can write dog puns all day long. It's not a hardship for me. It was heavy into the skid of making it directly kind of a 60s Batman parody. To the point where the villains, really, there's not a lot of originality to them. It's just kind of like, we threw a paintbrush on the Riddler and we threw a paintbrush on the Penguin, and we just kind of used our versions of them. Although, so far, the most popular villain to come out of those is my King Tut parody, whose name is Egypt Sean. I've had people asking for an Egypt Sean solo book. I don't know why that guy is so beloved. He's got about 3 lines of dialogue. I don't know why he's so loved.
Yeah.
See, I was going to ask you for a Tyrannosaurus solo book.
Yeah.
That's the one I wanted.
If we ever do the third one, there's a Tyrannosaurus story in the third one if we ever do it.
Because he gets left out. We just see him hanging out. He can't fit,
Well, the whole reason when we did the first issue, after coming off of that 5 pages, the one note that Edward had going in, because he and I just work really well together, the one note he had is, he was like, hey, can we do something with the villains where they're kind of still fit in this world, but they're not so directly a Batman villain? And I said, sure. So as I'm writing the first issue, the first issue kicks off with a TV ad for the temp agency, and I threw Tyrannosaurus in there. And I give the script to Edward, and I wait a couple days for him to read through it. And the only note he has for me on that, actually he had 2 notes. One is, can we make the fight scenes longer? And I said, hey man, you're drawing them. I have 0 problem with that. And the other note was, you created an Irish Tyrannosaurus Rex, and you're only using him for 1 panel. And I was just like, what, is that weird? Is that a weird thing? So when we did the second, now I feel obliged to bring Tyrannosaurus back.
Yeah, I mean, he's the star of the show, and he was only there for 1 page, 1 panel.
He's definitely your Boba Fett.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely is the Boba Fett.
More like boss,
the end of the second one where you get the team up from all of them. What do they call it? The Canine. The Continental Coalition of Canine Crusaders.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So with the second one, I didn't want a temp agency idea. I didn't want to be so bereft of original thought that we just did the exact same thing a second time.
Yeah.
So the idea with the second one is that I wanted to kind of pay tribute to 2 concepts that I loved. One of which was the Superman Revenge Squad gathering of all the villains in the beginning comes from. And the other was the Batman of All Nations, which Grant Morrison kind of brought Lee in such an amazing way. So those were the 2 concepts that, from my Silver Age reading, that I was like, I love these. I love when all of the villains that are normally just attacking Superman one at a time band together. They suddenly get the bright idea that, hey guys, there's more of us than there are of him. I dig that. And then that Batman of All Nations idea is just so wonderfully goofy.
Yeah.
Just this idea. I mean, if you really think about that, what it basically means is that the phenomenon of having your parents murdered in front of you and deciding to dedicate your life to justice is pretty much a international one. This happens all over the world, not just good old Gotham City.
That's definitely the writer in you.
Concept.
To describe it like that, I never thought of it like that. That people's parents are dying all over the nation. you have these, Batman rising up or whatever, but it's pretty ridiculous to think.
See, that was always the beauty of Grant Morrison to me, is he can take a goofy idea and just make me love it in such a serious way. But when you really boil it down, it's such a goofy, dumb idea.
I mean, that's a lot of the stuff that I kind of love the best, and it's honestly, it's not just Grant Morrison, although he dealt 7 Soldiers of Victory and stuff, where originally it's a throwaway superhero team, but then you take it and you make this epic thing with it. But I mean, all the way back to kind of like the first wave British invasion, where you've got Alan Moore taking Swamp Thing, just completely upending him and making him so much more than he originally was. Neil Gaiman coming out of nowhere and being like, I want to write Black Orchid. We're talking about like a Z-list character, and that book, the Black Orchid mini that he did, is so that's a talent I highly admire. I don't know that I have that. I think what I'm inherently goofy and make them stupider. That's what I do.
I mean, it's definitely it's definitely a fun read, but I mean, you definitely touched on that whole Grant Morrison Batman Incorporated thing. I definitely got that from, like, especially the what is the who's the British one? The English Foxhound, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And nobody could understand what they're like. I think they're talking to each other. Like, I have no idea what they're saying.
One of the original characters we'd had for the first book was the Anglophile, because I'm an Anglophile. Like, I love Monty Python, I love Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So he was like, let's just do a bad guy who looks like John Cleese, and I don't know, like the suburbs of Michigan or something like that, but he talks with a British accent. So having that guy already, kind of in the chamber when we came time to the second, and I had that international league of, for me, it was kind of like, all right, well, let's go ahead and put the English guy together with him and just see how that works. And I thought it was fun.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. They're like, I don't know what they're talking to each other strangely or something. Oh, it was really good. So I mean, obviously, you could tell in the books that you touch on the ridiculous villains, because that's one of my favorite parts about, especially Batman, is he always has ridiculous villains. So, like, it had to have been a lot of fun to, like, write Carnival King and Anglophile and stuff like that, because it's just, I always think they're so ridiculous and over the top that it's like, why is it? But then you gotta think, like, there's a guy in a bat suit punching these people in the face, so, like, is he really the most ridiculous out of all of them?
And what's so cool about the Batman villains when they work is that inherent goofiness. It really just comes from the fact that a lot of them are deliberately one note, but in such a way that they're immediately identifiable. Like, the guy, the best Batman villains just have to show up on, and you can look at that guy and know everything there is to know about him.
Yep.
And that's the assumption. Bendis always says, like, every comic is somebody's first comic. So if you go into that with that assumption of, like, let's make this as user-friendly as possible.
Yeah, that's always a good way to look at it. Especially because, like, now when they have all these crossover events, and especially the Batman books where you have to, like, pick up 3 to catch all of the story when they break it up into different parts and stuff. I think we're at a nice time right now where, like, 60s Batman is popular again. It's like, I think it's almost, it's getting to that point where, like, the last 10 years nobody cared about 60s Batman, I feel like, and now it's, I mean, the Caped Crusader, the cartoon coming out, Adam West is still relevant at New York Comic Con. It's like, it's so awesome to see.
Adam West is so cool. I went to a comic con, not Boston, it was kind of outside Boston. It's like Mega Fest or something like that. I remember driving up, there's all these, like, signs on the side of the road, and they all say Mega Show. So that's what I was calling it. I mean, it's a room. So all the dealer stuff is right next to where they're doing the panels. And the panel was Jason's mom in the first Friday the 13th movie.
Oh,
which
wow.
is about as weird a combination as you can get. And Adam West, like, I've never met the guy, I've never talked to him, but at least on that panel, he was super funny and he was super spot on, and he knew fans wanted. I think the Birds of Prey TV show had just gone off the air at this point, and somebody had asked him about that.
Yeah.
And Adam West, and I'm going to do a horrible Adam West impression now, so please forgive me. He was just like, well, if you watch closely in the original series, you'll notice that Batman and Catwoman had a very flirtatious relationship. So it is completely in continuity that the Huntress could be Batman and Catwoman's daughter in this new TV. He's just is a guy that just completely, there was none of that fake where he's like, get a life. There was none of that. It was just,
oh man,
like, I love you people. Thank you for giving me a job. There's such a cool thing about him.
That's awesome.
To your point, I think 60s Batman is popular again, and that speaks again to that explosion of comics and options now.
Yeah.
Going into the 70s and 80s, and part of the reason Dark Knight Returns is such an important book is because at the time everybody was like, well, you can only do Batman if you're going to do it goofy. And then Frank Miller and Neil Adams and all these guys kind of came in and were like, no, we're going to take this seriously. So at that point, there's not a lot of options, and they're steering away from the 60s Batman. But now, there's so much great stuff out there. And digital, with everything else, you can have a super serious Batman book. You can have the Joker cutting off his own room, throwing fake, and I think that's one of the best things about, again, being a comic that's in one Batman book, and then a little bit of that.
So just to paint a picture about the Cape Crusader really quick. I know I'm sure both of you guys are going to end up watching it, but I think the best part about it is, along the line, somewhere in the story, Batman gets poisoned by Catwoman to where he becomes a more darker, grittier Batman. So I think the best part of it is to have Adam West voicing a Batman that doesn't give a shit anymore. But they make two nods towards other Batman stuff. So there's a part where he puts on these brass knuckles and starts beating a villain in the face, and he starts repeating the lines from Dark Knight Returns where he's like, this is the operating table and I'm the surgeon, but he says it in Adam West's voice. So it's this is the operating table and I'm the surgeon. As he's punching him in the face. Oh, it's so good. It literally I'm gonna buy 5 copies just because of that line. It's so good.
Not in there, but I just have to imagine the living room floor or somewhere in the original script is him being like, "Are you retarded? I'm the goddamn bat." I'm Shatner.
Like the all-star Batman line.
Exactly.
That better be in the deleted scenes.
If that's not first draft script, you'd be able to knock me over with a feather.
It's always funny when I make that reference and people are like, what are you talking? Why are you being so rude? I'm like, no, that's literally what Frank Miller put that in a book that they sold to kids. Are you retarded? I'm the goddamn Batman.
To this day, I want a t-shirt with that panel on it. Or a hoodie or something. There's something with that on it.
Never forget. Alright, so every episode of the show we always do a shitty villain of the week. I kind of told you about it a little bit. Some of the past ones we've had, I'm trying to think, what have we had before, Chris? We've had
well, last week was my favorite. It was Snowflame.
Snowflame, who he was DC Comics, right? Or was it Marvel?
It was DC.
Where he snorts a bunch of cocaine and that's how he gets super strong. That's his power.
So it's the Charlie Sheen story, basically.
Yeah, it's the Charlie Sheen of super villains.
I feel like a failure now. Neither of us made that joke.
Yeah, none of us made that connection. We're horrible hosts. We should just give it the podcast over to him.
Now, what would be better is now what I want to do, and only you guys would get this, is the next time we do a Dober-Man book, I want to have the villain named Tiger Blood.
Oh God!
Yes. Yes. That would be fantastic.
Oh yeah, Money in the Bank.
I'd probably. My girlfriend would just be like, "What the hell's going on?" Because I'd just be like, "Oh my God, he did it, guys!"
Like, why are you okay, Chris?
Like, I think we need to take him to the hospital.
I can't believe you pulled the trigger on that. That was such a bad idea.
You know what? You have
He's doing a comical amount of cocaine. Risky amounts, I would say, even.
Oh man! All right, so this week we have. I'm pretty sure it's a DC Comics villain. Yeah, it's a Batman villain. They usually are Batman villains, which is the funny thing. This week is Sterling Silversmith. Back to the alliteration, obviously, with his name, but
does he also do cocaine?
No, I mean he probably does. He's a criminal inventor obsessed with silver. That's his.
Gold's not good enough for him. He has to go to silver.
This is okay. So this is like the origin.
There's a logic to it.
Yeah.
There's a logic to his method.
Nobody's stealing silver.
No, that's just it. Like his description is, silversmith. He built a criminal empire based on silver. He believed that the gold standard, which currency is determined, would become obsolete, and silver would become the new standard. So this guy was just waiting it out, thinking that gold would never be worth anything.
I've got some friends who vote libertarian who are probably like right on board with this guy's logic. So
I don't know if like he was playing the long con really, but apparently he appears in 9 issues, which that's a lot of book time for this villain.
And I will say I am deeply impressed with you guys because you told me about this concept, like the shitty supervillain of the week,
Yeah.
and in my head, like I've been reading comics for 40 years now. What are these young guys going to bring that I haven't already? What are they going to bring? Kite Man?
Yeah,
and right out of the gate with Sterling Silversmith, and I'm just like, okay.
When we first thought of it, I was like, oh, it's too Stiltman. I love Stiltman. I was like, nah, everyone's heard of Stiltman. Fuck that.
Yeah, everybody's heard of Stiltman and Kite Man and Condiment King. I think we had to do Condiment King though, just because he's ridiculous.
Have you guys ever seen Matt Fraction's lecture? I can't remember the case.
He does. Wait, the Matt Fraction what?
Matt Fraction does he's got a lecture that he did. I don't know if he still does it. It's about just about everything. It's amazing. But it starts off with him talking about how as a kid he bought this issue of Amazing Spider-Man, which has Stiltman carrying Spider-Man's seemingly dead body on the cover, and that as a little kid he thought like Stiltman is the worst of all villains. So when he got like a gig, I think he was doing a Punisher book. The first thing he did was shoot Stiltman directly in the dick with a bazooka. That was like that's right out of the gate.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Yeah, if you can look it up online, it's something like Batman Dreams, something else. Just look that up and Matt Fraction, you'll find it. It's a brilliant talk that he gave.
I'll have to look for that. It sounds awesome.
Yeah,
but I mean, we try to go with these obscure villains that that have done like one shots that back in the 50s or 60s that nobody's heard of. But Sterling Silversmith, his abilities, if you could, he has agility. He looks like a pretty lengthy individual. He's an attractive male, if that's even a power. I don't know. I wouldn't know.
Not up to your standards, but
That's like my old D&D character. It's like, oh, I got really good charisma and I'm beautiful. Like,
he has gadgets. He's insanely rich, intellect. All the stuff that rich guys usually have.
But not so much, though. Not so much.
Yeah.
So I did my research on this. You said, okay, we're going to do Sterling Silversmith, and I went through kind of this roller coaster of emotions where at first
here we go.
I'm like, first of all, that is a brilliant name. And again, it does that thing that great Batman villains do where it just, you know what this dude's about. This dude is clearly about Silver. That's going to be his shtick.
Yeah.
But apparently, like, first action was to murder his brother.
Yep.
So I was like, whoa, what does that have? And then stuff his statue of Batman, which means terrible at murder. That is a terrible idea. If you want to murder somebody and get away with it, putting that corpse in the statue of the world's greatest detective is a really poor idea. So I don't know if we can count intellect among his superpowers.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I think you just disproved it. But yeah, so it's funny because like his brother threatened to tell the police, but then he murders him, puts him in a hollow statue of Batman. The statue ends up at a charity auction where the statue falls and breaks, and the skeleton of his brother falls out.
This is definitely a 70s comic.
And you didn't need Batman to solve that one, frankly.
No, like, you didn't.
Anybody on staff at Gotham PD should have been able to be like, well, I'm guessing his brother did it. You know, the guy whose name is Sterling Silversmith.
And it wasn't even like, you know, I think a more fitting would have been like he had covered his brother in molten silver or something, you know, awesome like that. But
go here with it, you know, like if you're gonna murder your brother, don't just kill the guy and then stick him into a statue of Batman. Like that's amateur hour right there. No wonder the guy's only been in 9 issues.
I know. Oh my god, exactly.
He's waiting for that big Jeff Johns reboot.
Oh yeah, Jeff Johns will take him and make him the most important DC character.
Well, I think it looks like he got brought back because the last description, like he was brought back in more modern times. So I'm wondering if Jeff Johns or somebody actually just stuck him in the background.
Usually it's Jeff Johns. I know
it's either Jeff Johns or Grant Morrison every time.
Yeah. And I think the last
guy needs to go deep on the bench. That's an admirable.
Yeah.
What was the one Egg Foo? Is that the guy that was like the Wonder Woman villain?
Oh, that guy was awesome.
Yeah, he got rebooted in '52 with Jeff Johns. So, like, he made him badass and gave him like these like a Doc Ock setup where he had all these like spider legs coming. I'm like, that just made him terrifying. It was like scary as hell. But yeah, so Egg Foo, the way Jeff Johns took Egg Foo, turned him into Doc Ock with spider legs and made him extremely terrifying. But that's what these guys do, and it's so awesome. Like, and I know you're not reading the new Batman, but Tom King is an amazing writer, and what he recently did, I think it had to be in issue 2 or 3. He goes through 3 different Batman villains. One I've never even heard of is called Colonel Blimp, I think. And yeah, so he like has a giant purple blimp and he wears like a purple suit.
Oh, Colonel Blimp.
Yeah, Blimp. Yeah.
I heard Colonel Blunt and immediately assumed it was like.
No, we're not talking Blunt Man Chronic.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah, the kind of supervillain Kevin Smith would create.
But then Kite Man makes an appearance too. So Kite Man is still pretty relevant in the continuity right now with DC Comics.
Kite Man, you know, you can't go wrong with a guy who's also a kite. Really.
I still think my favorite shitty villain we done was the Monocle.
Oh,
Monocles. Yeah.
Monocle rules.
As opposed to Egg Foo, silly and honestly kind of a little bit racist. Like, gigantically a little bit racist.
He's extreme.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Either that or the who was the Hemo Goblin, the white supremacist vampire that would bite black people and infect them with AIDS. That was his power.
No way. That's a thing.
Yeah. Hemo Goblin. Look it up. It happened in the 80s. It'll change your life.
Wasn't it a DC or was it a Marvel guy?
I'm pretty sure it was DC. DC did all that really weird stuff.
Yeah, that's the weird part. Is that was a big 2 character. That's not like some, Image comic thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not all Venom. You know what I mean? Every once in a while. And you know what the sad part is? Okay, so now I have to look it up. It's hemoglobin, the white supremacist vampire. I gotta tell you.
Hemogoblin.
I got a hemogoblin. Oh my, that's even better. I gotta look it up and see who created that character. Because in Heart of Hearts, I have a feeling that person was like, this is going to pay for my kids' college. Boom, out the door. Wow, that is amazing.
I feel like the man would be arrested now if he ever tried to pull that.
I honestly, I think I don't know if I can stay on this call, guys.
All right. Well, I mean, we got through most of everything we wanted to, but if anybody wants to pick up Doberman, where can they find it?
Well, a couple options. The Gray Haven with an A, Gray, havencomics.com site is a good place to go. That's probably your best bet. However, I am also willing to exchange money for goods and services, so you can find me on Twitter. It's at Travis Holyfield. You can also, I have a Facebook fan page, which is, I believe, Travis M. Holyfield, facebook.com/Travis M. Holyfield.
Okay.
Probably should know that, but I don't. So yeah, if worst comes to worst, and if you can't get it through Greyhaven, you can hit me up there. Also, come see me at a convention. If Street Clothes gets funded in January, I'm going to be doing a lot more shows over the course of the year to promote that, and I will, of course, have copies of Dober-Man on hand because, dance with the guy who brung you. So,
Exactly.
Well, also, you can go on our website, fortressofcomicnews.com. We wrote a nice little review of Doberman, talked about how much we loved it, and I linked to the Greyhaven website where you can buy Doberman. So that's another easy way to get there.
Awesome. Yep. Oh, I'm an idiot. You can also get it on Comixology. In fact, I'm pretty sure the first issue is only 99 cents on Comixology.
Well,
so if you're a digital comics person, please check us out there. We've had a really good run with Comixology. I think there's like 13 reviews. They've all been 5 stars, or whatever the highest review of Comixology is. So I feel very lucky. But yeah, if you do digital comics at all, Comixology has both issues.
Awesome. Again, Travis, thanks for being on the show. We'll post a link on our Facebook page to the comic as well, where to buy it. But I'm sure once the Kickstarter's back up in January, we'd love to have you back on the show. We'll talk about that a little more.
I had a blast, guys. I'd love to be back. It's going to be tough to top Sterling Silversmith, but I look forward to seeing what you've got for me. And hey, sorry for my technical issues, but thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Hey, no problem, man.
Thanks for being on.
Holyfield, everybody. Yep.
Anytime, guys. Anytime. All right, take it easy.
You too, man. All right. Well, that was Travis Holyfield, creator of Doberman.
Yep.
So thankful that he could be on the show today. Remember, everyone, you can catch us on FortressComicNews.com, Fortress News Pod on Twitter, Facebook.com/FortressOfComicNews. I am Fortress Chris on Twitter and Instagram, and Mike is
at Ricker621, I believe. Last time I checked.
Mike doesn't like Twitter that much.
I don't. I don't.
Remember, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, share. If you're on iTunes or any other podcast service that we're on, please leave a review and tell us how much you love or hate us. Every bit helps. And thanks for listening.
Till next time. See ya.